Welcome back to Killer Fun, where we explore the intersection of crime and entertainment. Every other week, I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And today, we are talking about Lupin.
Lupin.
Yeah, which I realize now that I said with the most American accent
Ever.
Lupin.
But we didn't know much about it.
No.
I don't think I realized that it was a French show.
Uh-huh.
I said last episode I was going in super, super cold.
Right.
So I had no idea.
Yeah.
But even still, I was looking at this spelling going, I would have expected if it was Lupin for there to be an accent of some sort on the, but there's not.
No, not even a little.
You just have to know.
Uh-huh. That's right.
So now we know we do better.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheers.
Yeah. Though in all of my notes, I did write it out phonetically for myself.
Yeah.
Because if I'm talking about it, I say Lupin. But if I read it, my head still says Lupin.
Yeah, it's absolutely a language difference. I mean, that's all it is. It's just a... By the way, this is overdubbed.
Yes.
Really well.
Yeah, really, really well.
But it was like shot to be overdubbed.
Maybe. Well, it's a Netflix original.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they knew what they were doing. You don't really stand around looking at people literally speak with their face a lot.
Right.
So the overdubbing, amazing.
I would have to say Netflix is extremely good at this.
Extremely good.
They're really good at, I noticed it first when my husband and I watched Money Heist, which we should watch at some point, and because especially the first two seasons are really good. Mm-hmm. I haven't watched the newest season yet, just because the one before that I was like, yeah, it was good. It wasn't amazing.
Got a little in a rut, huh?
Well, yeah, it's just like pulling out the drama for the sake of pulling out the drama.
Yeah.
A little bit. Mm. But when they overdubbed, that's a Spanish show, like from Spain.
Yeah.
They speak Spanish, but it's also from Spain, not from another Spanish-speaking country. But they will change the wording a little bit to make it fit how long somebody's talking.
Yeah.
And you only know that if you have the closed captioning on. I noticed that with Squid Game, too.
Oh, interesting.
So they would... Oh, what's the other one? Squid Game and the better one, Alice in Borderland.
Okay.
Which is similar to Squid Game, but I thought better.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, it was really good. But they'll dub it to fit the length of time the person is talking. Mm-hmm. But if you have the closed caption on, you can see that there's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
In what they're saying. So...
That's so interesting. 3% is another one that's done really, really well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I think it's something also about the way they edit it, that they definitely edit it so that you don't have long monologues at the camera, or you don't have dialogue where it looks different.
Right.
Something about the way they cut it, shoot it, edit, just works.
They're just paying attention that it's an international audience.
Yes.
Not just the language of the country in which it was originally made or for which it was originally made.
Right. It's great. Yeah. I love it.
They did a really, really good job. But before we get to France's beloved gentleman thief who gets an update, I want to remind you guys that we're coming up on Christmas. And our Christmas episode, I know it seems like soon.
I feel like we did this not that long ago.
I know, but here we are again. Time to ask you guys for your hometown crime stories, whatever those are. It can be a murder. It can be a stupid criminal. It can be a wacky thing that happened to you or that you know about, or the thing that fascinated you. And this year, I always make a Christmas ornament, and this year...
They're so cute.
They are cute.
They're so cute.
I have these little, if you ask my friends and family, they're gnomes.
Yeah.
For your Christmas tree.
Uh-huh.
Little elf gnome hybrids.
Yes.
But you, dear listener, I'm telling you guys the truth.
Okay, what are they?
They're homicidal maniacs. Because they look just like everyone else. Thank you, Wednesday Addams. So have a little very cute, secretive little killer
Right on your tree.
On your tree, and all you have to do is send us your hometown. I have a dozen of these to give away.
Okay.
So if there's more than that, everybody will get a little something in the mail if they want it. But
the first 12.
The first 12 will get a little homicidal maniac for their tree.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So let's talk about this cast.
Okay.
They're so great.
They're great.
It's so good. And we actually have 2 casts because there's the actors and then there's the people who did the dubbing for the voices.
That's true. Yes.
So, which they did an amazing job of matching the voice actors who did the dubbing to fit seamlessly with the way the actors looked.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm going to talk about just 4
Okay.
of the characters. So Omar Sy plays Assane Diop. I love his name, Assane Diop.
Yeah.
It's so cool. He's been in lots and lots of French-based entertainment. Stateside, he's worked on the Jurassic World reboot movies. He's been in those. His voice actor for Assane Diop is Austin Warren, and he's best known as a band member in Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, looks quite similar to
Oh, yeah?
Omar Sy.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but...
Ludivine Sagné is Claire. She was Tink in the 2003 version of Peter Pan, and she looked familiar to me because she was in a movie from 2003 called Swimming Pool. That was a French movie that I went and saw at a hoity-toity fancy movie theater. That's no longer there.
That's no longer there? Oh, that's too bad.
It's from 2003. And a friend of mine was like, let's go. I want to go see more cultured movies. So we went and saw it, and it was weird.
It was weird.
It was weird. Lindsay Syme is the voiceover for Claire, and she's best known for a role in Insidious Chapter 2 and lots of small parts. She's kind of a familiar face. Clotilde Hesme is Juliette Pellegrini, all French shows, but this is not her first French show to come to America. She had a horror show called The Returned that made its way to the U.S. on AMC.
Oh, yeah, The Returned.
Yeah, does that sound familiar
Oh,
to
yes.
you?
I've popped into that show.
Okay.
A little here, a little there.
Okay. Her voiceover artist is probably the best known of the bunch, is Betsy Brandt. She was Marie Schrader on Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
now I'm going to be listening.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm going to be listening and be like, oh, is that her?
For sure. Okay. Yes. And Vincent Granger is Gabriel Dumont, one of the police officers. And he's only has a few French credits. Mm-hmm. American audiences probably wouldn't really recognize him. But his voiceover artist, Michael Bofsever, is another Breaking Bad alum. He was Jesse Pinkman's dad in Breaking Bad and El Camino.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
and he's
cool.
been in lots of other stuff, but that's probably I know that's where I would recognize him most
Right.
from. Yeah.
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 Very good. Very good cast.
Yeah.
Very well matched.
Yes, for sure. And they all kind of look like like the actor that they're portraying a little bit, except maybe Dumont, but
Yeah.
yeah. Recap.
Yeah.
So the Louvre cleaning crew includes a hulking man named Louis Perena. The staff not only cleans, but has a unique opportunity to observe the displayed items without all of the masses of people. So the Mona Lisa is the most obvious attraction, but a necklace belonging to Marie Antoinette, the last French queen, is on display and about to be sold at auction, expecting to demand about 20 million euros. We soon learn that the tall Louvre custodian is not named Louis, but Assane. Something's afoot.
Afoot.
Did you like that?
Yeah. You know something truly is afoot if somebody says, it's afoot, it's a coming. You know, it's a big deal.
Boy, wow, that's like British and Southern
All together.
A foot a coming.
Yep, that's it.
Assane is a thief who will be using his position as custodial staff and the help of some unsavory characters he's in debt to steal the necklace at auction. We learned that Assane is a devoted father, a man with great intellect to plan a heist of this magnitude, the son of an immigrant wrongly accused, and almost most importantly, a super fan of French fictional gentleman thief Arsène Lupin.
Awesome. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
Good recap.
Thank you very much. It was pretty well received. It premiered in January of 2021 on Netflix. And it was, until Squid Game came out, the most watched non-English show on Netflix.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So it came out 5 episodes in January of 2021, and then the last 5 came out in June of 2021, and it has been renewed for a 3rd part. So I'm looking forward to seeing the continued adventures of Assane Diop. And it was filmed in Paris. We'll talk a little more about that a little later. Reviews, 98% from critics, which is great. 80% from audience, which I think is pretty good. Considering, a lot of people just go on Rotten Tomatoes to complain. It's kind of like Yelp.
Yeah, that's hard.
Sophie Gilbert of The Atlantic said, as adaptations go, Lupin is close to perfect.
Oh.
Yeah. The Los Angeles Times, Robert Lloyd, the performances and the production keep the series warm even as the plot is made up of Rube Goldberg contraptions that may require everything to go just right at just the right time and for human psychology to be 100% predictable. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. Suspend your disbelief and just enjoy it. Ruth Mamaris of Flix Chatter. Lupin is such an escapist entertainment. It's got the right balance of humor, mystery, suspense, and emotional story that makes you care for the protagonist's journey. Omar Sy is magnetic as a multidimensional hero with style and heart.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Rolling Stone has a fantastic review.
Oh,
it's just so fun. Alan Sepinwall, good job. I have to read, it's long, but I'm going to read this whole first paragraph because it hits all the right notes.
Okay. All right. Let's hear it.
So among the many comic delights of Lupin, the French heist series is an unspoken one. Time and again, the show's hero, master thief Assane Diop, is able to slip into a place unnoticed or by assuming a minor disguise that prevents witnesses from providing an accurate description of him to law enforcement. Why is this funny? Because Omar Sy is 6'3" and is roughly as wide as a soccer pitch and is devastatingly handsome even before he opens his mouth to flash a €1 million smile. This is not a man for whom anonymity should be possible, even allowing for racial bias in a majority white country. Assane would be memorable and distinctive, and Lupin seems cheekily aware of this. Like the various incredible sleights of hand Assane deploys to pull off his thefts and escapes, his ability to be anyone, anywhere is treated more as a superpower than it is as something even the world's greatest criminal will be able to pull off. We know this is impossible, the show seems to be asking its viewers again and again, but isn't it so much fun? I'm
fair. Boy, that is right on.
He's tall and black and
gorgeous.
Devastatingly handsome is not an understatement.
Not at all.
By any stretch of the imagination.
No. No. It's true. It's kind of crazy how he can be like that. But it does make me think of White Collar.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yes.
A little bit. In the way that it portrays the hiding in plain sight. Mm-hmm. The hiding by being the center of attention.
Yes.
Rather than actually being invisible.
Right.
People see... but they only see what they project because they project it so well.
Well, and that so goes for when he's a custodian at the Louvre.
Oh, yeah.
He's invisible, even though he's right there, because they think he's not worthy or whatever.
But he's not totally invisible. He plays the role so well. He's even got like friends on the staff.
Yeah. He's
right?
just like a normal dude.
He's endearing. And he's not the guy you think is going to ruffle feathers or get, you know, get something over you on you. Right? Like you think he's the one who has your back.
Right. But then he goes to the auction and he's literally the only black face there, young and making himself seen.
Yeah.
Which somehow makes him invisible.
Yeah.
Makes him unrecognizable, despite the fact that every time he goes to work, he does not wear any sort of prosthetic of any kind. Mm-hmm. He's just, it's such a different context.
Yeah.
That it makes him invisible and unrecognizable.
Right.
Just amazing. Mm-hmm. I love it so much. The Guardian says that if you like Ocean's 11 and the thrilling implausibility and cultural lore of the first national treasure, Lupin is probably for you. Likens him to Bruce Wayne with his gadgets and things, which you don't see a ton of in the first episode, but you'll see later in the show. And he really harnesses the potential of how people behave in public.
Right.
Yeah. Which I thought was really good. And with that, we'll be right back with Is It True? Psychology Break and Real Life.
So here's how it works. Christy wrecks her search history. Hey, in essay, we promise it's nothing more nefarious than a podcast. To find out what's true, some of the psychological motivations behind the characters' actions, and real-life applications that relate to our topic. I have no idea what Christy decided to look up. Could be the same thing that captured my curiosity or something I never thought of.
Is it true? So, Arsène Lupin is a real series of books by Maurice Leblanc. He was first published with the Arsène Lupin series in July of 1905. It started out as a serial in a magazine and then became books. There was even a Sherlock Holmes crossover.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, except Maurice Leblanc didn't ask permission. So when they reprinted it, they called it Herlock Sholmes instead of Sherlock Holmes.
Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of books and novellas, so short stories and novels, 17 novels, 39 novellas.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I'm like, wow, you have to be really smart to write that many intriguing. Even if you everything has to go right, you still have to think of
the whole thing.
The whole thing. Like,
yeah.
If it were going to go just right and work, how would I make that happen? And they're pretty like smart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They think of everything, right? From all the sides. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like that it's a little explanatory.
Well, it does help.
Yeah. I kind of liked that at the end of the episode. So you see how it all plays out, and then you realize that Assane had a bigger plan. A bigger plan the whole time, and that's super fun.
It is super fun. I mean, yes, you do want to show it, but it's something. It gets something over on you as the viewer. So so it allows you to be kind of like had in the mystery a little bit, which is more fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Juliet and Assane swim together as teenagers. Of course, Assane's father is a chauffeur for Juliet's very, very wealthy and angry father. Mm-hmm. And the kids end up swimming together. Well, I guess Juliet's just laying on the side of the pool and Assane swims, but she coyly, is it true what they say about black men? And he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Because he's like a younger teenager.
Yeah,
too.
he's like
he's not
13,
like
almost 14.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So he's at the young side of being a teen. And she's at the upperclassman side of being a teen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If she's not much older than him, she's definitely more worldly.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah. And she says, is it true that black people can't swim?
Yeah.
So I wanted to know, what is there truth to that? I've heard that.
You've heard that? I've never heard that.
You've never heard that?
No, I never heard that before.
Well, I found an article from galdem.com by Saren Jones from March of 2020, right before the world turned on its side. Mm-hmm. And it's from the UK.
Okay.
Because I thought that would probably be closer to her frame of reference, though this holds true for the US as well. And that it's kind of an expensive sport. It seems like it wouldn't be because... Okay,
we're talking about swimming the sport.
Well, we'll get there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we're talking about, like, as sports-wise, it's kind of expensive and time-consuming, like the equipment, despite the fact there being precious little of it. It's expensive.
Yeah.
The fees to participate in competitions are expensive.
Right.
It takes a lot of time. You can't just like practice in your driveway. You have to have a pool to actually practice in. Mm-hmm. So you've got to have all that available. But also, she says, arguably, we could also factor in the racism that surrounds the history of swimming, stemming back to the era of segregation in the West when Black people were not allowed to access swimming pools. This area indirectly contributed to aquaphobia, a mindset that still persists in many of she's a Black woman writing this, elders, who didn't get the opportunity to learn the skill and consequently believe it's safer to stay out of the water than to learn how.
Interesting.
Yes. So it's typical, and that in fact in England, they had more than 73,000 people who registered as competitive swimmers as part of Swim England, and only 668 of them were Black or mixed race.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a huge disparity among different skin colors of who swims and who doesn't. And that it's actually a problem only because children tend to die in greater numbers in minority groups because they haven't had this access to swimming. They don't have the swimming skills.
Interesting.
And so this was
So drownings are higher among people of color when they grow up in these communities that have kind of an aquaphobia that's passed down for generation based on segregation and discrimination and racism that persisted earlier that kept them out of the opportunity to swim. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a thing.
That's a thing. I never even thought about it.
It's like an actual real thing.
I just never thought about
Well,
that.
no, because, I mean, we saw all kinds of kids at the pool when I was a kid growing up. But it makes sense.
It does make sense. I just never, it makes, I guess when I think about like generational impacts of racism and stuff, swimming never was one of the ones that came to mind. And so when she said that, I thought, well, that's silly. But it's true.
Silly, but true. And maybe even much more so in 1995 when they were supposed to be having this interaction.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the necklace.
The necklace.
Is it real?
I mean, okay, I don't know whether it's real or not, but I do know that there's no doubt that Marie Antoinette had a necklace that probably looked a lot like that.
Not dissimilar.
Okay.
But it's not a real necklace.
Okay.
And it's not, even as it's depicted, not really even close.
Like, there's not even a thing about it being stolen and about this whole, like...
There kind of is.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So, Marie Antoinette married the final king of England when she was just 14 years old. She did have a very lavish collection of clothes and wigs and jewelry. So, all of that makes sense. And she didn't make it through the French Revolution, but her jewelry did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is from CNA Luxury from Channel News Asia. So they said that the jewelry was lost and ended up being a part of the Nazi
the Third
antiquities.
Reich,
yes,
had a secret treasure.
Right.
That's what they said in the show.
I think that they actually did, though I didn't look that up. I think
Okay.
they did have. They were collecting antiquities as they.
Yes. That's well known.
Plundered Europe.
Right.
So supposedly this piece of jewelry had ended up there. That's actually not a thing that happened. It ended up being smuggled out of France and made it safely into the hands of Marie Antoinette's nephew.
Oh.
Yes. And it remained in the hands of her heirs until 2018. So it was not seen by the public after Marie Antoinette's death until it was put on the auction block.
Okay.
When in 2018, so just a few years ago. So the whole idea that there was a necklace that had been, stolen and taken apart and all of that is not exactly true. We'll get there. So there's the necklace.
Oh, okay.
So it's not dissimilar, but not exactly the same.
No, it's far less,
yeah.
than they depicted in the
the show. Yeah. It sold for $36 million.
Okay.
US dollars in 2018. Now, the necklace so it was kind of based on that necklace that Marie Antoinette actually owned. And then there was another necklace that actually was taken apart.
Okay.
That Marie Antoinette never actually did own.
Okay.
But the jeweler tried to sell it to her.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So King Louis XVI's predecessor, his father, King Louis XV, had commissioned a very outlandish diamond necklace for his mistress. Huge 647 individual diamonds and a combined weight of over 2,800 carats.
Whoa.
Yes. Outlandish. And there's the whole story. It's interesting. You can go and read it, which I'll post about it on social media, of course, but about how this necklace led to Marie Antoinette's demise. Like, it was rumored that she'd bought it and somebody else bought it. And it was the kind of thing that they used to frame Marie Antoinette as uncaring about the subjects at all when they were willing to spend all this money on jewelry. And it's this whole thing. So, and that the jeweler never did get paid. And the gems were broken up and scattered all over.
Whoa.
And sold, to try and recoup the money. So it's a whole thing. Wow. But so it's not exactly true, but it's kind of true.
They wove some stories together.
That's right. They took some creative license.
Yeah. I would say that they made a much more intriguing story.
Yes.
They really did. Because the idea that the necklace was, lost and then went to the Third Reich and then recovered and then stolen from this family. And then the whole, it was really interesting. I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It was very fun. So the security at the museum, now I couldn't find out how they handled the security with their custodial staff because newsflash, the Louvre doesn't want to advertise their security flaws if there are any surrounding the...
And I'm sure there are, but yeah, it would be proper not to. Although, when they said that there was one guy watching the security cameras, I thought to myself, oh, please.
One guy who falls asleep a lot.
Yeah,
he falls asleep enough that the custodian who's on the cameras noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, exactly. But, so there is a lot of security, but it's maybe a little bit less for theft protection and a little more for protection of visitors and staff because they tend to be a hotspot for terrorist activities.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, this article in the Apollo, by their very nature, museums are publicly accessible symbols of history and culture. They are designed to welcome large numbers of national and international visitors, whilst offering access to priceless artifacts. For those looking to inflict mass casualties, steal or destroy valuable objects, cultural sites can seem like attractive targets. And they talk about how they had to increase security because there was, at the Louvre in 2017...
I remember this.
Yeah. A man wielding a machete was trying to attack people. And thankfully, they were able to stop him because they had specialist armed soldiers who can patrol key French sites, which is... So I think it's harder to do the heist, Mainly because if something's stolen from the Louvre, they're going to publicize it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be hard to sell. You're not going to be able to sell it as easily.
You can't sell something that hot. I mean, that's hard.
Yeah.
There's a small market for selling something that hot.
Right,
Because the people who want something like that want to show it off.
Exactly. Precisely.
Generally speaking. I mean, unless you're the Third Reich.
Right.
Not making any judgments. All right.
We're not going to judge the Third Reich. I'm going to judge the Third Reich.
No, I'm not going to judge somebody who likes to have priceless, beautiful things, but not necessarily want to show them off.
Okay.
I'm not really calling you
okay.
A Nazi.
No, I didn't think you were calling.
Right.
Yeah.
Not you. I mean, like that person out there, who has priceless artifacts, who does not like to show them off. You are not a Nazi. But
if you have a priceless artifact that you would like to show off, send us a picture. I'll post it on social media.
But if you don't want to show it off, no judgment. It's okay to keep that
If you don't want to show it off, private message me and show it to me.
Because we want to see it. Because we want to see it.
Oh, so the unsavory thieves who help Assane with the heist sneak chloroform in with their cleaning supplies, and a filming insinuated that it's this kind of light blue, pretty liquid.
Yeah,
so
it looked like Windex.
It did look like Windex, and I was like, I wonder what color chloroform really is.
Oh,
it's clear.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it makes sense that when he went to spray the second round of guards that there was less left, because it seemed like, why wouldn't you bring 2 bottles if you know that you're going to use that much on the first guy?
But it didn't quite work.
It didn't.
And so they end up in a fight anyways.
Right. Because there wasn't enough left.
Right.
Well, it evaporates really quickly.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
well, that's why you hold it over somebody's face.
Uh-huh.
Spraying them is not a little Larry Curly and Moe thing going on here. My question was, okay, so did Assane know that they were going to be dumb enough to just spray it out of the bottle and knew that would hold them up enough and get them beat up enough? Or was that planned? Or did he think they were smart enough that they might smuggle it in, but they still need to pour it on something and actually cover somebody's face? Did he think that...
Oh, I think he just thought they were dumb enough not to do it properly.
It was so
funny. They should have poured it on a rag and held it over somebody's face and sprayed it right in the face.
And they start spraying it. I was like, that's not gonna work.
And it did not.
And it did not. And I was like, actually, I'm really glad it didn't work because that was so much more entertaining.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it just is showing the disparity in heist planning skills between Assane and these other
It's really your first clue that he's using them.
Right.
It's your first clue.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Assane and his father were immigrants from Senegal. Would they even speak French there? Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a French-speaking country, right?
Yes, because they were originally settled sort of under French colonial rule.
Oh, okay.
So, and they are since liberated themselves from that rule, but they still speak French.
Yeah, a lot of
in that
countries
West African,
in that area do. Cameroon,
a lot of West African countries. That's not their only language, but it's probably the primary one.
Right.
Yeah. One of the detectives on the case is also a Lupin fanatic, and he's exactly right that Paul Cernine, which was Assane as the rich tech entrepreneur who outbid everybody else for the necklace, and Louis Perena, his alter ego as a
janitor,
Louvre custodial staff, are manipulations of the letters in Arsène Lupin.
Yes. And I thought he figured that out kind of fast. But whatever. But he was a fan. And I feel like, that's why you have that job, because you like these thieves. You want to see how smart they are. So maybe you're looking for that person who's just a little too much like your hero.
Yes.
You know?
Well, exactly. But he was also not believed.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Not initially. I mean, I haven't seen... Okay, I only watched the first episode. So I haven't done the whole binge yet. It's coming. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, again, with the white collar, I do feel like it's almost like the same showrunners. like, I feel very much like this character, the detective is like a Peter Burke kind of character.
Yes.
Right? Like, I feel like it's the same kind of entertaining, very like you're kind of rooting for the bad guy and the good guy, and maybe they'll team up because it'll be fun. I don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah. I won't say anything
Don't
else.
say anything else.
No,
Don't say
I'm
anything
not going
else.
to spoil anything. All of the sources that we use to inform our discussion here on Killer Fun Podcast can be found on our social media. Join us on Facebook at Killer Fun Podcast, exploring the intersection of crime and entertainment. You can find us on Twitter at Killer Fun Pod, or you can send us an email at killerfunpodcast@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to share a link to whatever information you're looking for. We love to hear from you. You might learn a little something too. All right, psychology break.
Okay.
All right, so Claire, Assane's ex and mother to his teenage son, tells Assane, "You used to be so attractive. What happened?" It's such a backhanded compliment. Like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about backhanded compliments. And
Had a few of those this week.
yeah, consulting.com has a whole this week.
Oh, yeah. Backhanded compliments have been like my week right now.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be
Suck.
Yeah, they do. I'm going to have to pound on somebody a little bit. Proverbially, not literally. We don't condone violence.
No.
The backhanded compliment is any comment that blurs the line between an insult and a compliment. You used to be so attractive. Like, it's a compliment of how attractive you were in your younger days. What happened?
Yeah, what happened to you?
Yeah, it's kind of
There's a
backhand.
great example of this on Criminal Minds because they're giving a profile to the team and they're talking about how this guy is going to be an expert at backhanded compliments. And so Reed kind of gives this like example, and he goes, as he's talking about the backhanded compliments, he kind of looks over and goes, "Oh, those are such pretty earrings." And the detective goes, "Oh, thanks." And he goes, "Yeah, my grandma used to have one just like that."
Oh, you're wearing old lady earrings.
There you go. And he turned around and he goes, "That's just an example." Like, and winks at the detective, like, "Thanks for playing along." But I mean, it was such a perfect example of how awful it can feel. And I think people do it and don't realize they're doing it.
Sometimes,
I think that happens more often than we realize.
probably.
Yeah.
Well, yes. I would say I remember the first time I got a backhanded compliment. I
Yeah.
was in middle school, and somebody told me, "I used to think you were such a dork, but you're pretty cool." And I'm like, "So you thought I was a dork?" That's really what you're saying, that I had dorky behavior when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. It's that fine line about even when you compliment somebody, say maybe in their skill level, maybe somebody in your field, and they sort of say something like, "Wow, you've really grown.
Yeah.
You've really gotten better." And it's a fine line between somebody who can say that with such an authentic, like, "I've noticed that you've continued to pour into your craft, or improve your excellence, or I love what you've continued to learn. Like, that's so amazing." And sometimes that can be so encouraging because you're like, "Wow, somebody has seen that I continue to get better at my thing," and that's really cool. But most people say it, and there's this just behind it.
Yeah, you used to suck.
Yeah, you
and
used
now
to
you
suck.
suck less.
And now you suck less.
Yeah, it's mean. And qualifiers are one of the things that they say.
Oh,
Like, you look great for your age.
Oh, yeah, qualifiers. That sucks.
And comparisons, comparing somebody with something else that is so that about themselves that was subpar. So, "I love your new hairstyle. It suits you so much better.
Right.
Your last hairstyle was ugly."
Yep.
Is what they're saying. An unnecessary surprise. So they'll note that you've made an achievement and be surprised that you were capable of doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside attribution, where they'll attribute your success to something or someone else. "That's a really wonderful photograph. You must have a great camera."
Right.
Yeah, like, you couldn't possibly have a good enough eye to take this lovely photo. Your camera must be expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, I think, to maybe think that people are being too sensitive.
Yeah.
And maybe some cases when you try to be nice and compliment somebody and you're trying to be genuine, you might say something that you don't realize is a trigger for them.
Right.
Right? You might say something and you're really being genuine, and you might not understand or have a frame of reference for why the other person doesn't take that well, or why to them it's a backhanded compliment.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, how do you have grace in those situations to be like, I know you really meant that to be nice, but it was like the meanest thing ever. Right? Like, But on the other hand, I think this actually happens more often than we realize, because we are a very passive-aggressive society, and this is just a passive-aggressive kind of communication. And so if you feel like somebody's doing this to you, maybe not think you're sensitive first. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
If you think somebody's after you, maybe they are.
Maybe they are.
Yeah. And so examine that first before you just discount yourself and say, well, I'm just being sensitive. Because it's rough out there sometimes, y'all.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they mean to do it, and they talk about why do people do it.
Yeah.
And it can be their own underlying beliefs. Misogyny or racism. Oh, you're going to be an engineer. That's a tough job for a woman.
Right.
You know, instead of it's just a challenging
job.
It's tough for a woman. You know, that's a backhanded compliment. And so it's really kind of saying more about them than it is about you.
Absolutely.
For sure. Maybe it's an actual compliment, but the way they deliver it is insulting, and it, again, is talking about them and not you. So they're using their own low self-esteem. Oh, that's a really beautiful car. I hope that you don't miss out on your payments. That's saying I would miss the payments because I don't make enough money because that's a beautiful car, not
I think you can't handle
I think you can't handle the, yeah. And then, of course, you know, there's the mean thing that some men do, and they think that it makes them seem more desirable, which is called negging.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where they'll like tell a girl she's pretty and then beat her down in some way.
Yep.
So that they are kind of, it's an abusive situation. I would say if you meet a dude and he's into negging to try and make you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a...
Because they're trying to make you feel lucky.
Yeah.
That they're talking to you. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, ooh.
Yeah. No, it's not good.
No.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't accept that.
Don't
let that be a red flag and walk away.
Yeah. Whatever it is, swipe left. Is that the bad? Is that the
I don't even know
one?
I've never done that.
It's the swipe
the swipe whichever way.
Yes.
No.
Swipe the no way.
Swipe no. Somebody go comment and tell us, because we're totally ignorant about which way to swipe.
Yeah, and you know, you can take it, you can point out the insult, and hey, I noticed that, or you can just take it as a genuine compliment. And
sometimes that's the best course, because somebody really did mean it as a compliment. They just don't know how to say it, and they don't know how to say it with an acknowledgement that includes like respect.
Right.
And so that's the case. Sometimes it really is their own ignorance, and you just have to realize they're trying to be nice.
Well, and usually you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell if it's a reflection on themselves or something that they're trying to be legitimately nice, and sometimes you can tell they're just being
But also
wrong.
let it inform you, I think.
Right.
For instance, I mean, I said this happened to me. I mean, this week somebody gave me some compliments that actually were backhanded compliments. I think they were well intended.
Oh.
But they revealed something about their framework.
Okay.
And the way that they're approaching things that still hurts. It's still hurtful for me, and that's okay. It's okay for me to say, I know they were really trying to be nice. I'm glad that they were happy with whatever it was. But it's also true that they have revealed that there's a problem.
Right.
And that something's not okay. And maybe that wasn't the time to address it, so you just say thank you and move on.
Yeah.
Now, the same individual has done this before, and I called him out on it real quick.
Oh, good.
They said something that was backhanded, and I literally said, ouch.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, hold the phone. That's hurtful, because that needed to be stopped. So I think you do have to use discernment on when it was time. You know, that happened to be the right time to deal with it.
Right.
But the other time wasn't. And so
but it tells you a lot about how you need to handle your interactions with that person going forward.
It does. And it also tells you more information about, especially if it's colleagues. It tells you information about what you're working with. So don't skate over it.
Yeah.
Don't skate over it. I'm not trying to tell you to be manipulative, but I am telling you information is helpful.
Right. Well,
take it in.
And it can inform how you behave.
Yes, it
with
can.
them. So,
or with others even.
Right.
Right? It can be a kind of
yeah.
let me use this as a light bulb moment for something,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and this article at consulting.com also has tips about how to do it yourself if you're interested in some tips.
Oh, good.
So,
good. I think this happens a lot in the workplace, which is why it's so pertinent for a consulting group.
Right.
Because they're dealing with culture, work culture. And so, backhanded compliments are unfortunately very common as people are trying to push people down the chute as they climb the ladder, you know?
Right.
Without sounding like they're mean.
But they're mean.
But they're mean.
Let's just call a spade a spade. Let's just lay that right out on the table. That's mean. Don't do it.
Don't be passive aggressive. Don't be passive aggressive.
As much fun as it can seem sometimes.
Yeah, there's very few instances where I think passive aggression can be helpful. Usually not.
Usually not.
Most often not.
Right. It's difficult to know if Assane is really afraid of heights, but who wouldn't be a little bit afraid of heights if somebody was dangling you over a balcony?
Yeah, I think that's the moment that I would become afraid of heights.
Yes. 1 in 15 people have a fear of heights, acrophobia, but about 1 in 3 people will say they're afraid of heights.
Right, because there's a difference between having a legitimate irrational fear and just not liking something.
Yes, for sure. If you have an actual fear of heights, acrophobia, you may experience vertigo, increased heart rate, shortness of breath, sweating, anxiety, shaking, trembling, nausea, upset stomach. I hate being on a ladder, but I'm not debilitated by occasionally getting to the 3rd rung of the ladder, which is about as high as I'll go.
Yeah.
Now, when I was in college, when we first started college, they did this team building exercise thing. They shouldn't have done it. They you go and you move in, you put all your stuff in your room, and then they all right, everybody grab your overnight bag. We're going to a team building exercise and you're going to go spend the night there. Okay. I'm really, all I want to do is sleep in my dorm room.
Right.
I don't want to go somewhere else. But they had a ropes course and things. And I got to the middle of crossing a set of ropes. And of course I'm all harnessed up and strapped in and whatever. And I'm hyperventilating, not knowing which way I can go. Yeah. And I'm looking, back. Should I go back the way I came or should I go ahead? And it was closer to just go ahead. And
usually is.
Yeah. So I just went and they were like, are you going to be okay? I'm I need the fastest way down. And it was the zip line. So even though it seems very counterproductive, because the zip line was the fastest way down, that's the way I went.
Yeah. And it was fun, wasn't it?
Not really.
No, you didn't like it? Mm-mm. Oh, I love me a zip line.
Yeah, I know you do.
I love it.
I know you do. And I didn't like it.
You did not like it.
No, I was ready to just be down. I'm anything that was high after that, I'm I'm going to opt out of this one thing. Yeah. And they were you have to do it. I'm bet me.
No, I don't.
Bet me I have to do it. I'm not doing it. You cannot get me up there.
Right.
Do you want me to vomit on somebody below me? Okay, then.
Let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. People with actual acrophobia can have this kind of response when there's actually no danger present. This is part of the irrational fear thing. Just thinking about being up high can make them feel this way.
Wait, let's stay right there. All right, y'all. You all probably know someone who is irrationally afraid of something, right? And this is the funniest thing because I have I have arachnophobia. I'm terrified of spiders, and I know it's irrational. And it's so funny because when you're afraid, people try to reason with you, and like there's no reasoning. It's irrational.
Yeah.
I know it's not coming after me. I know it's not. It does not matter. Like, no amount of reasoning. Like, you're safe. It does not matter. You were still afraid. Like, that's what makes it irrational.
Yeah. Well, see, because there was a time before I realized you had such arachnophobia.
Actual arachnophobia.
Yes. That you
right.
actually have arachnophobia.
Yeah, you just thought I didn't like spiders.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a Halloween decoration that would hang by our front door that was a, like 3-foot wide spider.
It was terrifying.
And it was really scary for her. And once I realized, I'm like, it won't hurt you. And you're like, I know. So I said, well, when Jackie's coming over, I'm just going to take that down.
I could barely get in the door.
I know. See, and I felt so bad once I realized that. I'm like, it's an easy enough thing. I'm just going to take it down
and I would
set
say,
it aside.
probably 20, 25 years ago, I would not have gotten in the door.
Really?
Right? Like, it's a lot of work over the years to make incremental progress. Like, like where you literally you can use reason to help yourself, but it's really you're using coping mechanisms and coaching yourself through it. I can get through it sometimes now, but my heart rate still shoots up.
Yeah.
I still feel out of breath. I feel like chills. Like, it's terrifying. Like, but I can do it, And one of the things that pushed me over the edge to being like, okay, I've had a breakthrough in handling it was there was a larger spider and my son was an infant on the floor and it was kind of crawling his direction.
Okay.
And my mama bear kicked in a little stronger than my arachnophobic fear. And I got it.
Oh.
I screamed and cried bloody murder the entire time I did it. Like, I was like, could not, and then I had to like recover. Yeah. Right? But I did it.
But you did it. You saved your baby.
This is what it was. Not like he was really in mortal danger. I mean, it was a spider, and he probably would have thought it was cool. Right? Like, but he was an infant, and I just was like, no, this thing I hate is coming after my son now. Yeah. Aww. So that, you can have breakthroughs and get better. Mm-hmm. Better now than I ever was before.
Well, that's good. But I will not do anything that will cause you distress. No. Because you know what? That's what you do for the people that you love.
Right.
You just say, you know what? I don't get up into the attic. My husband and my son do that for me. Yeah. I don't do it. I've literally never been in the attic that I've lived in the house. I've lived in this house almost 10 years and I've never been in the attic. And I won't go in the attic.
That's funny. Yeah.
Somebody else will do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's fair. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's all kinds of like, why do we have it? Evolutionary things and learned behavior and all that stuff. But you can go read about that if you want.
You can go read about that.
One of the other things that Assane talks about was that the wealthy people who live near the Louvre and whom he works for at the Louvre don't see him.
Right, yeah.
This is a thing.
It is a thing.
Quartz.com had an article talking about science confirms rich people don't really notice you or your problems. And you can't pay attention to everything in your life. No. I mean, there's not enough brain power to be able to do that. But we do try and acknowledge the people around us, at least some of the time. But the more money you have, the less likely you are to do that.
Right. Isn't that weird, huh?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. New York University did a study that showed that wealthy people would pay less attention to passersby on the street. Like, and they had pictures with this article about like, people taking a selfie and there's like a homeless person sitting on the steps right next to them. Mm-hmm. And they like literally, like, you can tell they can't even see them.
I wonder what causes that. Did they have any suggestions?
I think they talked about in this article that you tend to pay more attention to people within your own social group. And your own social standing.
In group, out group situation. Okay.
Right. And that if you're walking down the street and you think somebody has less money than you see them as part of your out group and you're not paying attention to them.
Okay.
And that's...
that might be one of the contributing sort of factors to that.
Yeah. Some psychologists published an article. They were with the University of California, Berkeley in 2012. And they had volunteers watch a video, and they had one of a man explaining how to build a patio and another one depicting the lives of children with cancer. Mm-hmm. And they found that the more wealthy the people were, the less likely they were to have compassion for the children with cancer.
Oh,
isn't that troubling?
That's ouch.
And they even controlled for ethnicity, spiritual beliefs, gender, all of these things that can impact how sympathetic you might feel to somebody. And they had self-identified whether they were wealthier or less wealthy. And the people who were wealthier said they had less compassion for the children with cancer.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, that explains a lot about the whole situation that's happening with the Pellegrinis and son and his father.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean...
And why the wife wouldn't stand up, wouldn't help. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. All right. Real life. All right. So the Louvre Pyramid is real and there and, very iconic. And so, it's beautiful. It's very large, serves as the main entrance of the Louvre and has since its completion in 1988. It was designed by Chinese-American architect I.M. Pei. And it corrected a bunch of deficiencies in entering the museum, though it was really controversial at the time because they said it was like a death cult thing because it was the shape of a pyramid, which was a tomb. And they said it didn't go with the French architecture and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, isn't that part of an art museum is to mix those sorts of things?
I think it goes perfectly, but I guess I've grown up kind of seeing it.
Right. I mean, for
the most part.
Right.
I mean, right.
I mean, I didn't know much about the Louvre before 1988 anyway.
Exactly.
So it didn't really make any difference.
Well, it's
to
okay.
me.
They didn't like the friggin' Eiffel Tower either when it was first built.
This is true. And now all the French love it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The main pyramid has 673 panes of glass, not 666 like you might have heard.
Oh, jeez.
Because that was a whole campaign against it. But because 666 is the number of the beast. It's supposedly Satan's number.
Apparently.
Whatever.
Or maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But an official brochure published during the construction twice cited the number of panes as 666. So I'm thinking that whomever put together that brochure had an axe to grind.
I mean, or he just thought it was really funny.
Well, yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, it's really kind of beautiful. I love it. I want to see it in person one day for certain.
Yeah. Yeah. The Louvre does host private events like the auction
that they had.
Yeah, you can do that, but it's only corporate events or personal events, not weddings. They will not let you have a wedding at the Louvre.
That's smart.
It really kind of is. It can accommodate between 500 and 4,000 guests.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's so big.
Those are the options there. And so I was wondering how much would it cost to have a private event at the Louvre? Maybe not as much as you think. I mean, so if you want to have a private tour of the Louvre, they only do it, I think, Tuesdays after they close, something like that. But for 50 guests to get a private tour off hours, it's about $11,700. I mean, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but I kind of thought it might be a little more than that. If you want to have a reception of some sort underneath the glass pyramid, it's going to be a minimum of $36,000. So a lot of money. But this is interesting because they actually did film at the Louvre.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Inside and Out. They actually
Interesting.
did film there.
Whoa,
And
I did not expect that.
This is a pretty common thing.
Oh.
That a feature film using interior and exterior of museum, the filming fee is $18,000.
What?
It seems like not that much, right?
No.
And Beyonce filmed a music video there several years ago, back in 2018. And the filming fee would have been $5,300. So it seems like not okay, but here's the kicker. Evidently, you have to pay by the crew member as well.
Oh, okay.
So if Beyonce had 50 people on crew there, which is not out of the realm of hostility between, the any extras, the main people, Beyonce herself and anybody, or makeup artists, the camera people, the director, and the blah, blah, blah. 50 people, you can get there pretty easy.
Oh, easy.
You have to pay for each of those people individually. And to have 50 people as part of the crew would have cost another $21,000.
Whoa.
So it might be $18,000 to film your feature film, but you're going to be paying per person as well.
Right.
And it's going to add up quick.
Yikes. That would be a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But still not half bad considering you're on
really.
location at the Louvre.
Yeah, exactly. I mean can you get more iconic? Not much.
Not really.
I mean,
that's pretty cool.
I mean, there's a few places that could be more iconic, but I mean, you instantly know
Oh, yeah.
what it was. You don't need a sign. The Louvre Museum.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need that. I'm not going to go into it much, but the New York Times has an interesting article about the interesting sort of relationship that France has with racism, and that they generally believe themselves to be very universalist and every human is equal. It doesn't matter their skin color and all of that. But a lot of that tends to come from the fact that it's very traditionally white. And so there is still a lot of racism, but it goes really unrecognized in France. So it was interesting to see Assane kind of address that and deal with it. I bet that was a hard thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a thing that we expect in U.S. entertainment. If there's, a person of color, it's going to be something that they either ignore completely or absolutely address.
Yeah, it's very rarely kind of in the middle. And I feel like they actually went sort of in the middle with it.
Yes, like it was there, but I think even them being kind of in the middle of it for us probably felt very in your face to a French audience.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Babacar made the choice to immigrate to France from Senegal with his son, Assane. Why do people make this move? I mean, Senegal's of the West African nations. It's pretty upscale, sort of.
Okay.
It's kind of, they have a pretty good economy and decent job prospects, and they have a pretty stable democracy. The Conversation has an article where they talk to some immigrants from Senegal to find out why they would move, that they were likely, the migrants tend to be not the poorest or the wealthiest. So the wealthiest tend to stay where they're at because they're doing fine where they are. They don't need to move. The poorest don't have a means to move.
Right.
And so it's the people kind of in the middle who kind of want a better job, but that the most critical resource that they have is somebody already there who can help them when they get to wherever they're moving in Europe. In this case, it was France. And that the people who move from Senegal to France tend to find they're overqualified for the jobs they end up having to take.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it is too bad. But they still end up making more money.
Yeah.
And doing okay. And a lot of money gets sent back.
It makes some sense to me. I don't know. This may not be true at all, what I'm thinking. But moving to Europe where you have so much access to so much. I mean, once you make that move, if you speak French, you'll choose France. And then you can go anywhere, if England wasn't an island, I bet more Americans would move there.
No.
But I mean, it's not like you can't get to the mainland and go all over Europe as is. I mean, obviously that's easy to do, but I wonder if that's part of the draw is that going to Europe and then having like access to so much. If you like travel, if you like, because maybe in West Africa, your section of the continent is stable, but traveling maybe less so.
Right.
A lot among your continent, which is kind of sad. I mean, I think that would be amazing one day if we could, go all over that continent and enjoy everything about it. But I would imagine that if you're in Senegal, you really can't do what you can do in Europe as far as like travel and, that kind of things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I can neither confirm nor deny.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just interesting.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I just know that travel in Europe is pretty free and easy.
So free and easy.
Yeah. I mean, at least pre-pandemic it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
And you just have so much different
now.
things to go look at and see. And it's just all.
Well, and you can do day trips to places or weekend trips to places that, I mean, like, I can't do a weekend trip to anywhere outside of Texas because where we are in Texas is like, I can't even get out of the state in 6 hours unless I'm going to Mexico.
Yeah.
And the places I can get to Mexico in 4 hours, I don't really want to.
That's
not a destination.
That's not where we're headed, right? Like, that's not your destination typically, unless you know people who live there, which is a different situation.
Right.
So. But yeah, it's kind of, I mean, Europe's very attractive in that manner.
Right.
So
it's always kind of fun to look at the maps that have different states placed over Europe.
Yeah.
So you can see the scale and like, well, no wonder I can't get anywhere.
Right.
That's like 6 countries inside Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's big here.
Yes.
It's just big.
Yeah. A theft of this magnitude would not have been the first theft of this magnitude at the Louvre.
Oh, I can imagine they have quite a history of at least attempts.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but the Mona Lisa was stolen right out of the Louvre.
Okay, this I did know about.
Oh, okay.
I do remember that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't remember.
I was going to say, I hope you don't remember it.
That.
Yes.
Like way back in the day.
Yeah,
right.
like in the early 1900s, 1911, there was... These people set up a whole thing, and they used the janitorial staff as so I wonder if they maybe didn't use a little bit of this story to kind of help inform the story for this episode, because they were janitors. The museum was closed on Mondays at that time, and so Sunday night before they closed, they went and hid in a closet and took their little janitor outfits with them and then put them on, and when the janitors came in on Monday morning, they popped out of the closet and started doing their stuff. They just walked right down the hall and took the Mona Lisa right off the wall, took her out of the frame, and were able to roll her up and stick her under their cloak. And they walked right out to this door that they had planned to exit from, and the key wouldn't work. So they had a screwdriver, and the guy takes off the doorknob, and right as he does, a plumber walks by. And you think, oh man, he's been made. No, the thief starts yelling at the plumber, my key won't work, and the doorknob just fell off. And so the plumber, not knowing, being any of the wiser, uses his own key and lets the people out. So it ended up in the bottom of a trunk, a false bottom of a trunk in Italy for more than 2 years. It was concealed and lost. The man who hired them these thieves to steal the Mona Lisa never even took possession of it.
Okay.
What he really wanted was the theft to get into the newspapers, because he already had 6 buyers lined up for the Mona Lisa, and he had fakes. He sold all 6 buyers fakes of the Mona Lisa. He needed it to go missing.
He needed it to be
needed it to be publicized that it was gone, so that they thought they were getting the real thing, and he needed it not to surface.
Right.
Yeah. And
that's funny.
Yeah. So the thieves were like, we've got this in the trunk. What are we going to do with this? They'd been paid, but they still had it.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to get paid again. So they tried to sell it.
Yeah.
And then that's when the art historian realized it was the real thing and called the police.
Yeah.
Because it was in Italy and Da Vinci was an Italian artist, they gave him a really light sentence and basically to time served. So he only spent like 7 months in jail for stealing the Mona Lisa because they were so happy that he'd brought it home to Italy for a time.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It was a good show. I can't wait to watch the rest of it.
It's fun. It's just like fun.
Yeah.
You don't expect too much from it. Don't be upset that, everything went his way. Of course everything's going his way. It's fiction. It's fun. He's Arsène Lupin.
Yeah.
He's personified as Assane Diop.
It's great.
It's just fun. Like, Sherlock Holmes. He always was able to come up with exactly the right answer, exactly how it seemed, even though we couldn't connect the dots. He connected the dots for us. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Just let it happen.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
Just enjoy it.
And just keep watching it. It's a really good show.
Yeah.
I can't talk enough about this overdubbing, how good it was.
It's so good.
It was just so good. You know what? This is the kind of show that I think overdubbing does well because there's enough action. Even if there's talking, there's action going on. And so,
Yeah.
So don't let it stop you.
Right.
Don't let it stop you. I think a lot of people are like, no, go watch it.
Yeah. You don't have to read and that's the thing too. You don't have to go and read the subtitles. No. So, just be happy. All right. So don't forget, send us your hometown crime of whatever that is and get a little mail because everybody likes the mail.
Everybody likes mail.
It's so much fun.
When you get real mail.
Yeah. And next time, we're going to watch Hulu's Only Murders in the Building.
I cannot wait to watch this.
It's so cute. I'm looking forward.
Steve Martin and Martin Short. Yes.
And Selena Gomez, who's
and Selena Gomez.
A sleeper delightfulness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. I
expect
excited
to enjoy it.
Yes, me too. And I haven't watched it. And it's one of those, I've been meaning to watch it. Yeah. And my husband kind of wants to watch it. And I'm like, I'm tired of waiting for you. I'm just going to watch it.
I think my husband will like to watch it as well.
I bet he will.
And we need something.
There you go. Are you in a show hole?
We just got out for a little bit, but it won't be long before we're in another one.
Oh, yeah, because you introduced your kids to Breaking Bad.
We did.
Yeah.
But they're not allowed to watch any more of that until laundry is done, so who knows? But then he and I kind of started watching the morning show, kind of catching up with those, but it won't be long before we're caught up. So,
yeah. Oh, cool. All right. Until next time, be safe, be kind, and wash your hands.
Da, da, da.